Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker.
All right, everyone, welcome to episode 109 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts, Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. Today we are joined again by Akiya Hunter and black metal warlock Matt Ketchum.
On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random stuff.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Japan swelters as temperatures approach record highs.
Nintendo's April to June net profit jumps 28% thanks to the weak yen.
4 people injured on new water slide in Osaka after going too fast.
Whoa.
This week in Japan.
All right, let's get started. Japan swelters as temperatures approach record highs.
Kyoto News has reported that the temperatures have been high across Japan in early August, climbing to near record highs around 40 degrees Celsius in a number of areas, with the Japan Weather Agency warning of heat-related illnesses.
With temperatures expected to remain high, the government has issued an alert covering wide areas from eastern to western Japan, requesting people to drink water and avoid going outdoors to prevent heat exhaustion.
Japan's all-time record high of 41.1 degrees Celsius was registered in Kumagaya, Saitama Prefecture in 2018 and was equaled in Hamamatsu, Shizuoka Prefecture in 2020.
On August the 2nd, temperatures rose to 39.5 Celsius in Koshigaya, north of Tokyo, and also the same temperature in Kofu in central Japan, with central Tokyo seeing a high of 35.9 degrees Celsius, according to the weather agency. It's important to also note that we have high humidity with these high temperatures, so the real field temperature is somewhere between "God damn" and "my hair is literally on fire."
Yeah, like even right now, it feels like we're in a swamp. Coming from Florida, like literally, it feels like we're back in Florida in a swamp.
Down at the bayou.
Among the 914 observation points nationwide, temperatures had risen to 30 degrees Celsius or above in 658 locations as of 4 p.m., with temperatures hitting 35 degrees Celsius or above in 224 locations.
Countries across the globe have been battling extreme temperatures in recent weeks. Britain recorded over 40 degrees Celsius in July for the first time, while heat warnings have been issued in dozens of locations across the United States.
Portugal has reported more than 1,000 deaths due to heat-related illness.
Are you sure they just weren't drunk?
It might have had something to do with it. But you know, I mean, everyone keeps talking about global warming now with these high temperatures, and airlines have even issued warnings this year and last year that due to the global rise in high temperatures, flights are going to be more turbulent, which is not so great. So
that sucks.
Yeah, so it's something that's, you know, well known and established. Like these are the effects of climate change. We're experiencing it right now.
Yeah, one thing that I was interested to learn in Britain is that, of course, up until very recently, they didn't really have high temperatures. So a lot of places in London don't have air conditioning.
Ah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
And they are quickly finding out that not having air conditioning is very inconvenient when it becomes 40 degrees Celsius outside.
40 degrees, yeah. I mean, yesterday, like humidity included, Fahrenheit, it was 106 out where I live, east of Tokyo, which is pretty nasty.
Yeah, I saw some places had a heat index of like 50 Celsius, which is like 110 or something.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Even for the U.S. and like specifically the East Coast where it gets really hot up in New York City. I mean, I remember being a kid and like when it was like 103 or 104 in New York, it was a really big deal.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I mean, we recently had Chris Gunson on the air on a previous episode, and he is, of course, living mainly in Dubai, and even he was talking about how it feels hotter in Tokyo because of the humidity.
Yeah. Tokyo's so wild. Like, even when my friends that live in Miami would visit Tokyo, they'd be like, man, it's hotter here than Miami. And it's because of the humidity here. It's kind of insane, the extreme kind of seasons that we experience here. Although the winters, I think, are quite mild.
Definitely. All right, and up next, Nintendo's April to June net profit jumps 28% thanks to the weak yen.
Kyoto News has also reported that Nintendo on August 3rd reported its group net profit of 118 billion yen, that's about $890 million, in the April to June period, up 28% from a year earlier and marking the highest for a first quarter, boosted by a weaker yen.
Operating profit declined 15.1% to 101 billion yen for the first quarter of the business year through March 2023 on sales of 307 billion yen, which is down 4.7%.
A lot of people are wondering why Kuroda and the Bank of Japan aren't doing anything to change the yen. This is the answer right here, right?
Nintendo! We're trying to help Nintendo!
Yeah,
Come on! Don't you like Nintendo?
Big businesses are definitely profiting off the situation. Nintendo booked a foreign exchange profit of 51.8 billion yen, which contributed to the company's bottom line in the reporting period, despite its sluggish sales amid a continued semiconductor shortage worldwide. Overseas sales accounted for nearly 80% of the total during that quarter. Wow, 80%. That's pretty incredible.
Wow.
I know during the pandemic, a lot of people wanted to get a Switch.
But they couldn't.
They couldn't. So this, I think people are finally, they're available now.
You can buy a Switch.
Yeah.
But you can't buy a PS5.
Nope.
Sorry. So Nintendo left unchanged its full-year earnings forecasts, expecting a net profit of 340 billion yen, which is down 28% from a year earlier, and operating profit of 500 billion yen, which would be down 15%, with sales down 5.6% to 1.6 trillion yen.
Nintendo also said its April to June sales of its blockbuster Switch console tumbled 22% from the same period the previous year to 3.43 million units due to the chip shortage.
But Nintendo maintained its forecast for Switch sales at 21 million units for the full business year, saying the component supply situation is expected to improve sometime around late summer to fall.
A Nintendo spokesperson said, quote, "In preparation for the holiday season, we will leverage appropriate means of shipment and work to deliver as many Nintendo Switch systems as possible to consumers in every region."
And in the distance, a whip cracking sound was heard.
It's kind of surprising because the Switch is already a pretty dated console. It has a really bad user experience whenever you're purchasing games on the Nintendo eShop. This is like known across like game dev and like game connoisseurs. It's really laggy. It's funky and stuff.
You know what I think it is? Kids love it.
Yeah.
And kids are like, the easiest customers ever. It's like selling candy to babies, except for it's Nintendo branded candy.
They don't know any better. They don't have a lot of stuff to compare it to yet.
Exactly. But like when a kid says, "Buy me a Switch," parents are like, "All right, if you do all of your homework, you can have a Switch."
Yeah. Another big thing too, if you think about it, most of the other newer systems, everyone's moved away from cartridges and discs, right? The Switch still has a cartridge component, right? So when people buy a game for the Switch, they're buying a separate physical game product packaged, and it's an actual cartridge. So I said the thing about the Nintendo eShop being bad, but that might not really mean anything, because game sales might mostly be coming from the actual cartridges.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, if you have a problem with it, you just got to take it out and blow it.
These ones you can't blow, but yeah. All right, and up next, 4 people injured on water slide in Osaka after going too fast.
The Mainichi has reported that 4 people have been injured on a new water slide at a municipal swimming pool in the Osaka prefecture city of Sakai after they apparently went down too fast on the slide.
Yikes, like my worst fear. The Sakai municipal government announced on August 1st that between July 3rd and 10th, 3 men in their 40s and a 12-year-old boy had sustained injuries, including cuts on their foreheads and bruises on a water slide that opened that month at Maruyasu Sakai Harayama Park Pool in the city's Minami Ward. According to the city, the facility has 2 water slides, and accidents occurred on the longer one. The municipal government closed the slide on July 10th, but the shorter one remains in use.
So the longer water slide is 124 meters long and 14 meters high. The 4 individuals apparently all smashed into the slide's wall at one particular curve. 2 of the men needed stitches for their wounds.
So sliding too fast is believed to be the cause of the accidents, and the city government intends to have the structure modified so that the height difference before the bend is reduced.
How do you get people to not want to slide fast, though? It's a water slide. You want to slide fast.
I'm assuming if it's one of the ones where they're dropped from the top, I mean, they can't really control how fast they're going unless they, aerodynamically position their bodies. Funny enough, growing up in Florida, we had Wet n Wild right next door. And there were some scary ass water slides, man. Like, they would do this thing where you'd stand in like a tank and a lever would pull and you didn't know when it was going to pull. And the guy would screw with you. He would be like about to pull it. And he'd be like, and then like finally he'd pull it and you'd drop. And it was almost vertical, man. It was like 30 degrees, like, it was fucking terrifying. I hated that. Also, these water parks are disgusting. Nobody...
Oh yeah, like back in the day, like people got like E. coli and like all these like diseases from going to water parks.
Yeah, number one, the water is absolutely disgusting. Everyone is peeing in the pool, and like the water is all circulated throughout the water park. It all uses the same water. It's gross, man. Ugh.
Yeah, Aaron, you just totally ruined water parks for everybody.
That's my take. Go to the beach. It's much better. It's nicer. It's natural.
You ruined water parks for everybody, Aaron.
Well, if the slide didn't ruin it already.
All right, and up next we have an interview with Matt Ketchum, Black Metal Warlock, and Akiya Hunter.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Tokyo Wave.
Matt, great to have you on the show.
Hey guys, great to be back. Thanks for having me on again.
And water slides.
Yeah, I haven't been to a water park in a long time, but I do not have a very good impression of them. Again, the peeing everywhere is one thing. But I don't know, the beach is just like, go to the beach. Just do that. It's better. It's more fun, more natural.
Amen.
They need like a water slide that goes into the beach.
Oh, actually, so in
really
Monazuru,
cool.
they have an inflatable, I don't know what to call it, but like a wacky fun house, like a wacky water fun house.
Is it it's in the
ocean. Like if you're driving down to Yugawara and you go over one of the overpasses over the ocean, you looked at it's like a water castle kind of thing. I was at that beach the other day. I did not go in the water castle. I'm pretty sure it is made for children. So I just swam around and stuff, but it looked like a pretty good thing.
Florida attempted to make water parks that were going to be in the ocean, but it's notoriously extremely difficult to maintain those kinds of structures because the ocean just like literally eats it away. It destroys it,
Well, I mean, so this is like a blow up thing. So
okay.
I'm guessing it's pretty, like, number one, I'm assuming they're going to just deploy it for a few weeks, probably at most. It seems like it's probably pretty easy to like wash off and whatnot. But yeah, understood. The ocean water is pretty good at eating away at things. So if you made some kind of solid, permanent structure, then
Yeah, it's got that salt stuff in it that tends to be really good at making metal rot.
Oh, for sure. I live close to the ocean, and every bike I've ever gotten has either gotten, stolen by a police officer or completely corroded within a year.
Stolen by a police officer?
for the
Well-
parking violations.
Yeah, I put it in the wrong spot. It's my fault, I guess, but it always happens to me, There's nothing I can do.
I've only had that happen once. Shibuya is really bad with stealing bikes. And honest, like this, I have this is a serious pet peeve of mine because it's again, it's like with Yugawada. In Yugawada, you've got a bunch of retirees who don't know what to do, so they arm them with fireworks and they make them go hunt monkeys. Whereas in Shibuya, you've got also a bunch of bored retirees and you make them go hunt other people's bikes. Like, fuck off.
They don't have anything.
Seriously.
Like, there's got to be a better way to use these.
We need monkeys in Shibuya. That would fix everything.
Maybe that's it. Isn't there a story recently about like roaming packs of monkeys that are actually attacking people somewhere down south?
Oh, when they're making their
A
way?
few months ago, we had a story where like there was like the monkey and like there were monkey spottings in Suginami, and then he just set the guy and then he went across the bridge into Saitama, and like they were reporting this on television like it was like an escaped criminal.
Yeah, the headlines are Japanese city alarmed by biting, clawing, attacking monkeys. Japanese police crack down on aggressive monkeys, killing one of them. Where is this?
That was in Yamaguchi. We talked about this last episode.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
The insurrection of macaques.
Insurrection.
Chapter 1, the insurrection.
The monkey insurrection.
Yeah, those rascals.
Dude, there's another thing we gotta have on the audio drama, like super smart monkeys.
They can read your thoughts.
Yeah. Seriously, like experimented on monkeys that like have like weird, like.
Well, so like in Yugawada, you've got I guess they identify the pack leaders, and so they tag them with like a neck.
Like a gold medallion?
Well, it's blue, but it's not bling. But it could perfectly be possible that that's actually like some supercomputer plugged into their brain.
I just imagine like we in New Jersey we make sure that the leader of the monkey pack he's got a gold medallion on so people know who's boss.
That's one thing that it's for. I don't know how they really determine this. I kind of get the feeling that they're just like, you know what? Let's designate that one as the leader. We need a leader, so I don't know how to do this, but that one is the leader.
Throw extra firecrackers over there.
But that reminds me of you brought up a good point. So recently I purchased an extremely powerful laser.
Does this have anything to do with your monkey problems?
Well, and I thought that it didn't, but then you mentioned it, and I was actually thinking like, oh my God, yeah, that actually, because right now I've got basically my first line of defense against the monkeys is to have like a bunch of vinegar and squirt guns. And just like squirt vinegar at the monkey.
That's not nearly as cool as
no, but like if I could like
them.
shoot lasers at monkey and like singe them a little bit.
But then the monkeys find their own lasers and they start shooting back, and you have laser wars.
Yeah, that would be. It's not that hard. It's just a button that you use to turn the laser on.
Dude, the monkey's gonna steal
I want to
your
fight
laser.
monkeys with lasers. I think I can do this.
Guys, there was a 90s movie where they were looking for this crystal that they could make this super powerful laser, but the crystals were surrounded by these really smart monkeys. Do you guys remember this movie?
No, not at all.
What? Man, the 90s were so weird. Hey Siri, what was that 90s movie with the monkeys and the
Congo. The movie Congo.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
you're right.
I used like
They had the laser.
Yeah,
they had a
yeah.
laser gun.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
when I was, I don't know.
Is this a real movie?
Yeah, it's
dude.
based on a.
This is a pretty cool movie.
It's based on a book by Eric Clapton or whatever.
You're thinking of the guy who wrote Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Stephen
Eric
King.
Clapton.
What is that guy's name? He's pretty. He also wrote Sphere.
Oh, Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton. There we go.
Yeah. Not Eric Clapton, the guitarist.
You were close.
I forgot about that. All right. Yeah. No. I need to. I wonder what will happen if I fight monkeys with laser. And it looks like it's not like a laser pointer where you just have like the red dot. It's like a proper laser and it's blue too, which means that it's got the highest wattage or whatever.
So Aaron, ask Matt why he got the blue one.
Matt, why'd you get the blue
It
one?
was the most powerful.
Oh, okay. Like, how dangerous is this? Like, if you fired this at someone's face, what would happen?
No, don't do that.
Wow.
It'll
okay.
explode.
Like it burns things from a distance.
Wow. That's crazy.
Which means potentially it can burn monkeys. Right. And so I am very curious to deploy this in the... Man, what if we got like the OGs on and be like, yo, guys, you need to level up. You know, your firecrackers, they're used to these things. They're not scared of those anymore, but this fucking laser...
Dude,
yeah.
we would get like global news coverage like
Oh my
Japanese
God.
town fights monkeys
With
freaking
lasers.
lasers.
Oh, I need to test this out. I need to go monkey hunting.
you guys got to be careful. You're talking about killing something.
Oh, no, you wouldn't be killing.
No.
It's
We're just gonna annoy them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Convince them that maybe the
And
forest is
burn them a little bit.
better than, eating.
That's going to be... I got to take a video of that. Of me going monkey laser hunting.
It's like laser tag, but with more powerful lasers. And your opponents are all scary monkeys.
Man, when
with
are we
claws that bite.
when are we gonna have like Star Trek level laser guns? You know?
This is getting there.
Yeah.
This is getting there. It hurts. I shined it on my foot for a brief second, and it definitely hurt.
You used it on yourself already on your foot. Why not try the foot?
Well, the great thing
You
is,
don't really need feet.
the great thing is, I already tested it on wood and leaves and paper. And it's like, holy shit, that burns those things really quickly.
Does it start a fire?
Yeah.
With the wood? Oh wow. Damn.
One of my friends wrote his name with using it.
Wait, so this has its own separate power supply, right? That's all.
Yeah, rechargeable batteries.
Oh, right on. So, kind of like in an apocalyptic scenario, this thing could help you just light fires all over the place.
Yes. Yeah. Right. It's got some power. Highly recommended.
Prepare for the apocalypse. Buy lasers.
And the best part is it straight up looks like a lightsaber.
Oh yeah. You were mentioning that.
But it's like a lightsaber that doesn't end, though.
I think it looked like there were some attachments that I can get, which I will absolutely buy. But yeah, I mean, no,
Laser
literally,
attachments.
I shined it yesterday across the Yugawara Valley, and it's just this straight, super bright blue beam.
If people are going to be talking about UFO sightings, my God.
Yep. Yeah, the blue beams of Yugawara.
The blue beams.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that purchase.
So, Matt, you said you were in Minakami bungee jumping recently.
Yeah.
Apparently, you're still alive. How was that?
Good. I distinctly remember eating dinner the night before and actually being like, man, this might be my last My last dinner. I should make this a good one. So I had a bunch of basashi, and ironically, I also ordered fugu sake.
Ooh, wow.
So that might have killed me. It didn't. Neither did the bungee jumping. But I won't lie, man. I was kind of nervous. I was real nervous. But you just got to fucking do it. And two, it helped that get this, what a business model. Man, there's like upfront costs for getting shit set up, and then staff. Aside from that, though, super low overhead. And per person, it's ichiman nisei yen. And you can get like
12,000 yen. That's a pretty serious bit of coin.
Yeah, and you can do that like 6 times in an hour. Right? So just like a full day, 8-hour day of this stuff. Like you're raking it in.
And all you need is a super weak piece of elastic.
Yes. No, these things were, it was like an anaconda kind of cable. So that was good. 4 other people jumped to their death, or could have, but they came back alive as well prior to me. So after seeing that, I was kind of like, all right, I can do this.
But you said there was like one person who was like...
The first dude was definitely a wuss. So, but everybody else after that was.
How long did it take before he was like, all right, I'm going to do this?
It wasn't that long, like 3-5 minutes, something like that.
That was pretty long, though.
Yeah. And I was kind of surprised that nobody got pushed. Shut up.
I was going to ask, I've seen videos in Australia, and my sister did this also in New Zealand or Australia, but they push people after a certain amount of time, or they kick them.
Well, I can see that happening, I suppose. But no, I jumped. Well, I've got a video of it. It was more like I just like fell. There wasn't much of a jump. But really, like when you do that, once you've gone over the point of no return, that's just like, all right, this either ends well or not. I might as well enjoy it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It only takes like a minute or two.
So on the Akiya Ninaka YouTube channel, Matt posted a video of him bungee jumping at this place in Minakami. And it's a pretty amazing video because you could just see like the look of terror turn into like this is pretty cool. it's like terror turn into
Well, you can't really
flying.
You can't really hear it, but because of like the wind and the mic. But I had a camera in my hand, and like me going down like before I started bouncing was I remember jumping and just actually legitimately not even thinking about it. Just the first thing that came out of my mouth as I was falling was, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty natural reaction. And also, like, you had to, like, tape the camera to your hand?
Well, so it was actually kind of odd. They offer their own GoPro services, and what that is, it's like a watch band, and so it's just on, but it's like a static, you can't move it around, really.
Yeah.
Right, and so you could do that for free, but if you do that, then for some reason you can't use other cameras. Like if you have your own, you can't like combine those two, right?
That's kind of weird.
Kind of weird, yeah. And so I ended up just doing the using my own. So I had one like a long shot, and then one in my hand of me actually doing the jump.
So you were like double fisting GoPros?
No, I was single fisting, and then I had one set up I just had a tripod.
Okay.
Right. To get that experience as well. But yeah, it was super fun. Highly recommend it. I think the business is good. And they've been in business for like 20 or so years. Like I want to say they're one of the first like outdoor activities businesses that was ever established in Minakami. Them, and then I think the big three are going to be, they're called Bungee Japan. And then there's like, actually, the mountain biking one, I believe, is called Mountain Biking Japan. And then there's canyons. And so you have bungee jumping, you have downhill off-road mountain biking, and then you've got canyoning and various like water sport activities.
Downhill mountain biking sounds kind of fun. Have you done that?
Oh yeah, we've got a video of it. That is dangerous. That was a lot of fun, but just geez.
You know, it's
man.
weird. I think bungee jumping is probably a lot safer than the downhill mountain biking, but I would not do bungee jumping. I would totally do downhill mountain biking.
Downhill mountain biking was great. When I did it though, they kind of like, I don't want to say screwed up, but I guess given the time of year, it was supposed to be a lot drier. But the leaves were still like super wet, and we were on like kind of a mid to high level course.
So it was like a water slide, but with a mountain bike.
Yeah. And I mean, you're going on like 10, 20, 30-minute runs. It's a lot like skiing, but far more dangerous. And apparently the most frequently broken bone with downhill mountain biking is your clavicle. Right, which is not a good bone to break. And like I remember, I totally
I never thought about breaking my clavicle, but I come to think of it, quite like it.
Yeah, it's not a good one to break. And that's the reason for that, though, is usually when you crash and downhill mountain biking, you're launching forward like a missile off of your bike and ahead of it, right? And so whatever you're going to hit, like a tree or a stump or whatever, is like probably going to be your shoulder, right? I guess. And I did crash like that. Like I definitely launched myself into what, I don't know, it's like a bear pit or something.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, the bears were on vacation.
Downhill mountain biking is awesome. Like it is a rush for sure.
Whoa.
And then also in Minakami too. Like Minakami's got a whole lot going up there. We were checking out a ryokan for an Akiya client, and then a friend of mine or an acquaintance. We're friendly enough, but we've only known each other for so long. He and his wife, I guess it was 2 years ago now, they bought a pension, so like a lodge, I guess, for lack of a better word, in Minakami as well. And like according to them, the locals, who are very kind, but also sort of outspoken, let's say, when they first bought it, and it was kind of a fixer-upper too. Apparently all the locals were like, hey, come on in, but I can't believe you crazy sons of bitches. Like, why did you buy that? That was such a dumb idea. Good luck. And so they just opened for business in February of this year after, again, like a year and a half of renovations. I've been up there to see what they did with this place. Absolutely gorgeous, right in this valley, right next to a river, 10 minutes away from a ski resort. Totally beautiful interior.
What's the place called?
Mominoki.
Word.
Yeah. Mominoki Lodge or something like that. But yeah, Mominoki. And apparently the locals reason they're like, oh my God, you crazy sons of bitches. You actually did it. Like, you've started a successful business using Akiya. And so I guess they're mostly renting out. They only rent it in groups, right? So there's no you can't get a single room. But yeah, apparently pretty much since they opened for business, it's just been every single weekend they're flush.
Wow.
So yeah,
congratulations.
The Mominoki spot in Minakami, highly recommended. Absolutely gorgeous. Just everything about it is amazing. So yeah, good work. Yeah, Minakami, it's a great spot.
So you've started also hosting metal underground shows again.
Yes.
Are you seeing more people attending live events now that Japan's pandemic panic seems to be winding down?
Depends on how you percentage-wise, yes. Hard numbers wise, no. And there's a reason for that. A lot of, at least the underground venues, most of them prior to Corona happening they had a max capacity of 250. And I mean, technically speaking, they still do. But for presumably like safety's sake, a lot of the venues are now limiting them. So even though they still technically have a max cap of 250, they have reduced that max cap to 100. On top of that, there's been a lot of changes in the business models. So for example, one of the concert halls or live houses that we go to, Earthdom, I think that they did a really great job in changing, because basically previously it was, here's $2,000, let me rent it for the night. And, so simple, but that's also upfront risk for me as the producer. And, I'm good enough at making sure I get heads in the door that I never really had to worry about making that money back. But you still have to make the money back, right? Otherwise you're in the red, and that's not good. And so with Earthdom anyway, so let's see. 3 big things happened with them. Number 1, they did the max cap reduction to 100. Number 2, you can book a maximum of 3 bands for 0 extra cost. But once you get a 4th band or more onto the bill, each band over 3 is 11,000 yen that you have to pay. And then the third thing is there is now no upfront money. They take 100% of the door, 100% of everything up until you get 31 people. Once you get 31 to 40 people in the door, you are entitled to a 15% return on the door take. From 41 to 50, it's like 20%. From 51 to 60, you see what there's like that sort of pattern that goes in there. There was one more thing. But anyway, I mean, those are kind of the big changes, which I think are like really good change. It makes it almost risk-free to book a show, which has always been one of the major problems I see in
because you were talking about like the huge upfront money that it usually takes to book one of these shows.
Exactly. And now, at least at Earthdom, you don't need that. Right. So you don't need that. But on the other hand, what some people have brought up is like, well, yeah, but I won't be making very much money on this. Why would I do? It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You'll never make a lot of money on these underground metal shows. That just doesn't have. So like, if you're worried about, a lesser ROI or whatever, like you're doing this for the wrong reasons. So I'm not particularly worried about that. But yeah, so we had our first show about a month ago that we ended up getting. So previously I was pretty good at getting about 80 people in the door, generally speaking, on average for like a quote unquote regular show with a max cap of 250, right? So what percent is that? Less than half, obviously. And for this show that we did with a max cap of 100, we had 55 heads in the door, people in the door. And so that's a 55% attendance rate, which compared to 80 out of 250 is actually pretty good. Sure, it's lower numbers, but percent-wise, it's higher. So I'm actually rather happy with that. The other thing, too, that was changed is that now there is a mandated minimum advanced ticket sales price of 2,500 yen. And a mandated minimum day of ticket price of 2,800 yen at Earthdom. And so, like, for example, with the upcoming show that we have on September 3rd, it's a Saturday, we actually ended up getting 5 bands, which means that we are incurring a cost of 22,000 yen because we've got 2 bands over 3, and each of those cost 11,000 yen. So there's 22,000 yen that we have to pay attention to. And because we also pay out our bands, unlike many other bookers, 3 is lesser than 5, which means that if we pay ourselves and then the bands, an even split of whatever proceeds we get, that's one divide. That's, everybody gets a quarter of the cut. Whereas with 5 bands plus us, that means everybody gets a 1/6. And so we've got more costs and more people to split it up on. And so we necessarily, in order to optimize kind of pricing, we had to go back historically and look at what kind of numbers we can expect for pre-sale as well as day of sale, but then also take into account the mandated minimum price. And so basically what I'm getting at is, I believe I think for the advanced ticket, it's 2,800 yen, and for day of, it's 3,500 is what we ended up doing, expecting that we get about 55 people.
Right. Man, there's a lot of economics that goes into this.
Oh yeah, dude. Metal is like it's very analog, but yeah, there's a whole lot of economics to consider.
Yeah, it's like I almost opened up Excel thinking about that. You know?
Yeah, you need to. And I mean, even with stuff as simple, so like we've got 5 bands, right? And then that means we've got 4 turnovers. We've also got 30 minutes prior to the start time when the doors open, but we don't want to go past 10 p.m. So then being able to figure out optimal scheduling, also knowing that, for example, the first band, Seeping Protoplasm, only has about a 20-minute set. Right, we've got basically from 1800 to 2200. That's 4 hours, 5 bands. One of those 5 bands has no more than 20 minutes set. Each changeover between bands is about 15 minutes. So that leaves us with, this set. And so I think we've got a 20-minute set, a 30-minute set, 30-minute set, and then 2 45s or 2 40s. I'd have to look at that, but yeah, putting all of this stuff together into kind of a tight package. Is not. I mean, that's legit why it has to be a passion project.
Yeah, that's some logistics right there. So, like, obviously, there's the culture aspect too. Like, are you still having like mosh pits and people?
Yeah. The last show we put on was a real heavy doomy one, so there wasn't all that much activity. The one we've got coming up, I'm expecting to be an absolute war zone.
Warzone.
Well, we even have a band called Volcanic War, so
nice.
And that's a good one because
Volcanic War. That's a name.
Yeah, we're really excited. So the guy who runs it, Suzuki, the bassist and vocalist, is a very big hitter because of he's got a few other bands, but the main one is Abigail, who is definitely one of the probably top 5 names in Japanese contemporary metal. And we've been friends with them for a while. We tried to get Abigail, they couldn't play. And he was like, well, I've got Volcanic War, who also features members from another black metal band called Return, who I've played with for any number of years. So yeah, Volcanic War is there. I mean, we also have Intestine Ballism. I mentioned Seeping Protoplasm.
Great names.
A band called Deadly Spawn, which is named after a 1980s horror film.
Deadly Spawn.
Yeah, and then Swazond, SWAZO with an umlaut ND. They're kind of a crusty black metal outfit. It's actually their record release show. So yeah, that's going to be a good. Is that everybody? Yeah, I think that's everybody. That's Bloodright 15. Check it out on Facebook.
Bloodright 15 coming soon.
September 3rd.
Very cool. Matt, are there incidences with mosh pits and stuff, people getting seriously injured?
I've broken my nose 5 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's just me though.
I
don't think. Well, I remember there was this one time it was at Earthdom for a black metal festival. And if you know anything about black metal, especially the true cult stuff, like you are not supposed to look like you are enjoying yourself, and you're definitely not supposed to be moshing. And yet I still remember he was in this bright yellow shirt. And it was a scene. Like he broke a few beer bottles on the floor, and then he kept getting up on the stage and belly flopping onto the beer bottles.
Oh my god!
And so he's just like covered in blood.
Oh yikes!
I've gotten booted.
That's pretty metal.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of annoying because we were just like, "Yo, I want to watch the show. Like, what are you even doing?" There's that. I've broken my nose a bunch of times, usually from somebody jumping off the stage and then accidentally kicking me in the face. So you got to be careful about that. A friend broke another friend's rib one time while also spilling some beer on him. Yeah, sometimes. Never seen kids get
I can deal with the broken rib, but did you really have to spill
that?
beer
They
on
actually
me?
got into a fight because of that. Right? He was like, I don't care about the rib, man. Why did you spill beer on me?
Matt, when I was in high school, like hardcore and ska were really big, right? And, I didn't go to a lot of the metal shows just because I didn't have a lot of friends that did that at the time. But the hardcore and ska shows, like when people are moshing, they're fisticuffs, like punching in the air. And I think I remember like getting the shit kicked out of me at like a ska show.
Oh yeah. I went to crust punk shows when I was in high school. I got my ass whooped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's crowd killers, and then there's crowd killers, there's slam dancers, and then there's just like regular moshing. I have no time or patience for crowd killers or slam dancers for the most time.
There's some guys.
And this is a really great anecdote though. So I hate crowd killers. And so they're the dudes in the pit who like legit just go after people and fuck them up.
Try to fight, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it's referred to as beatdown hardcore is very much into this. It's good music, but the audience is like, I do not have any respect for that. For Japan, the band Fight It Out is probably the quintessential beatdown hardcore Japanese band. But no, so I remember I was at a show.
You didn't read the show bill, did you? You're gonna get your ass kicked.
It sounds like an exercise class. Like, fight it out. beat the shit out of the next guy you see. You know?
Yeah, that's more or less it. But anyway, so we're at the show. This is at Anti-Knock in Shinjuku. And I'm with two of my friends, and we're standing on the edge. And like, I'm on the edge of the pit. I like the edge of the pit, right? You got to stir the pot. You know, you got to get the other people, push them along, make sure everything keeps going and whatnot. I also like getting into the pit, but I don't want to be standing in the background. Like, I like being on the edge of the pit. It's a good place to be, right? And it's a bunch of slam dancers. And so one of my friends right next to me, she just gets like totally roundhouse kicked in the face. And I'm like, like, this is like, nah, dude, like, that was unnecessary. What do I do? And I look around and I'm like, it's an entire live house full of slam dancers. I probably don't want to pick a fight just because like all of them versus me is not going to end well for me. So like, what do I do? Then I realized this is very intelligent. A lot of concert halls have tile flooring for ease of cleanup, right? That also means, though, that it's very slippery when wet.
I see where this is going.
Yeah, and so I realized, like, all right, I can't fight them, but I can make them all fall over.
It's like Sub-Zero.
By throwing my beer onto the floor. And
I knew it.
And sure enough, like 3 or 4 of them, they just keep slipping. And one of them, yeah, I remember one of them hitting their elbow really hard on the floor. And I was like, "Yep, gotcha. You guys are assholes."
Nice.
So yeah, if you ever find yourself,
sinister. It's like an oil slick.
Yeah.
With
So
beer.
if you ever find yourself at a concert, there's a bunch of slam dancers. They're fucking your friends up, fucking you up maybe, and you're not gonna take it anymore. Throw your beer into the pit. That'll stop them real quick.
Nice, man. I'm just thinking of Mortal Kombat 2 with Sub-Zero. You know the move where he puts the water and the guy's like, they're like
Yeah, it's just
slipping
like
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jedi mind tricks.
But there's a lot of etiquette in the pit too.
So, very abruptly switching gears, before we started, you talked about how you recently joined the Kanagawa Rotary Club.
Oh, right.
It sounds a bit off-brand for you, Matt. What's it been like so far?
Great. It's Rotary Club. It's an international business organization that's been around for, gosh, like over 100 years. Probably not 200. That seems too, but it's been around for really quite some time. And like my dad and grandpa were, so I've always been, aware of it. And one of my friends in Yugawada is, I guess, the VP. And we do some work together. And she was like, hey, I'm like, you should join. And I'm like, okay. And you get together, talk business, the, local business, like the taxi driver or, one of the taxi company's presidents is there, the president of the, so actually before I say that, it's interesting that it's a little bit complex. I may not be communicating this entirely correctly, but so the Kanagawa Rotary Club is actually extremely new. It just started. And if my understanding is correct, it's what happened was across Kanagawa Prefecture, there were any number of, here's the Chigasaki Rotary Club, and there was a Yugawada Rotary Club, and, the Odawada Rotary, and just like a whole bunch of Rotary clubs and communications. And like, it was just overly complex. And because of that, presumably not too much got done. And so one of the guys in the Yugawada Rotary Club, who is CEO or president of one of the major like onsen water companies in Yugawada, I guess he's the one who had the idea, but then he had to politic and get other people. Basically, the idea was we need to consolidate all of these disparate.
It's like Captain Planet. Everybody like puts their hands together, and it's like this big laser beam goes up into the sky, and it's blue.
Yeah.
And then with our powers combined, we are the
Kanagawa DEI Rotary Club. That is correct. They, in the charter, they did not name it the Kanagawa Rotary Club. They named it the Kanagawa DEI, that's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Rotary Club, which is a big part of their mission, which I thought was hella surprising and like encouraged. Like, I remember first seeing that being like, whoa, seriously? Gosh, you guys are kind of punching way above your weight. I did not expect to see that. So yeah, a big part of at least Kanagawa's, especially by the name itself, the Kanagawa DEI Rotary Club, is to push forward various DEI initiatives via.
Well, like when you think about like business organizations in Japan, you think about a bunch of old dudes drinking beers around big circular tables. Is that basically the deal, or is it a little bit more gender diverse?
Diverse, yeah. I was actually very surprised so I'm part of like the original crew. I think there's, I don't know, it's something like 20-ish of us. There's a picture I could count, but if I remember correctly, we're something like somewhere between 35 and 40% female representative, which is way above kind of the national average, in Japan. And plus the VP is also a female. And man, does she get shit done. So yeah, it's off to a good start. I think it really shows some strangely progressive in the good meaning, thing that you don't normally see, I think in a lot of Japanese organizations, especially business organizations. I certainly haven't seen anything like this before, so I'm really excited to see kind of where it's going to go and what kind of initiatives we can get done. Yeah, but it's still early days, so we literally just got started.
Yeah, Matt, no, I think I've seen some photos on LinkedIn with you at the Rotary Club events, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, you're the only foreigner amongst... like 20 or 30 Japanese there.
And I mean, there's still, like I said, gender diversity wise, I think they've got a good start. But there's a lot of work to do. There's age brackets, there's, various levels of, like if it's a bunch of CEOs, for example, that would be kind of a classist sort of thing. So it'd be good to get, more people, younger people at the beginning of their careers and things like that involved. Obviously, Japan is a pretty homogenous society. So getting non-Japanese people in there, I mean, Kanagawa, right, it's not the most rural of places. So I would bet it wouldn't be, that difficult to get.
I hear there are a few Americans down there somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think, though, that there's... The most interesting thing, I think, right now is that prior to this rebranding of theirs, I don't think that they've had very much of a value prop. And so nobody joined, right? It was just like an old man... I mean, you're totally right. It was an old dudes club. They gather once a week around a round table, and they drink beer. Like, that's it, right? Which, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But, from... like the new brewery that just opened up in Yugawada last year that's run by a Canadian-Japanese family. Well, there's the beer connection, so maybe this isn't the best of examples. But, like, I don't know if they would have seen very much reason at all to join in on that, whereas with kind of provided the actual initiatives are well thought out and actually started with regards to DEI and whatnot, I could see more businesses as well as, just individuals being interested in actually joining and contributing to Rotary activities. So, yeah, super exciting.
No, it sounds cool. I mean, just from our conversations, Matt, you being on the show and everything that you're involved with, Akiya Hunter, kind of a lot of grassroots events. This sounds like a step in the direction for kind of, actually opening up Japan, and especially where you're out in Kanagawa and Yugawara.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the hope with it. Again, we'll see where it goes, but so far so good.
Yeah, I think everybody's like holding their breath. When is Japan going to reopen the country?
Well, and I mean I got a lot of beef with that question because it is so uncertain, right? And I mean, I've been advising a number of travel organizations as well, and goodness gracious, they cannot get the idea of inbound tourism out of their head. And I get it. Like, that's kind of been the major, thing for a number of years, if not decades at this point. So, yeah, that's sort of your bread and butter. Guess what? Even if Japan does open back, I'm trying to get my parents over here in September right now. It's an extremely difficult process. And you basically can't even do it if you don't have an immediate relative who is a resident of Japan, right? And so, inbound tourism, technically speaking, Japan is open right now, but that doesn't mean it's easy to get in. Right?
Oh yeah, you have to apply for a visa at the consulate.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
To, send in your passport and wait 5 days.
And so
it's not like you just show up at Japan and you're like, "What's up? Where's the sushi?"
Right, and so the whole idea be it with Rotary, be it with tourism and whatnot, is focusing on domestic activities. Right. And this is a bunch of stuff that, I mean, with Akiya as well, it's the same thing. Same thing with rock and roll and metal is like the resources have been here for a long time. It's just for whatever reason have gone criminally underutilized and underserved. And so if you're banking on, for example, inbound tourism, it's basically a moot question because you can't say when and you can't say in what form, in what style. It's not like, okay, next month on September 5th, Japan will be 100% open to everybody all the time. That's not going to happen anytime soon. And we just can't predict it.
Or will it? That's actually funny, though. I have heard tourism companies saying that, once they do open up tourism, it's going to be like the floodgates. And all of a sudden, hotels are going to be booked.
Yeah, but tomorrow...
It's going to be crazy. There's going to be tourists everywhere.
But tomorrow never comes.
There's going to be tourists on top of the tourists on top of the tourists. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. The tomorrow just keeps not coming.
Exactly. So, and that's not to say there aren't alternative, or not even alternative, just other markets to be served. The thing that I give is go after that Azerbaijan money, right? You want to wait for inbound tourism to come back? Okay, fine. Wait, while you're at it, go after that Azerbaijan money. They don't know where to go. They got a lot of that cash, right? Just go service them for a few months. Or maybe a few years, right? Or go after the wealthier, more international communities that exist in Japan. Are there millions of people in that community? I don't think so. But there's still at least a few tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that have cash that are looking to spend it on whatever services you have. They're already here. Do business with them.
Yeah, I think that market is totally overlooked in a lot of examples.
And it's so odd to me. I really don't understand why.
I think it all comes back to the same principle. I think a lot of people who are doing business just aren't that good at doing business.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. And then, you also get just kind of complacency. The big boy, JTB and whatnot kind of run the show, and what they says goes, and everybody just agrees with that.
What they say goes, except for when they say open up the country, please, Prime Minister Kishida, and he's like Amy Winehouse and says no.
So yeah, I'm really excited by the domestic, and again, that's what Rotary Club also represents. It's an opportunity to actually take advantage of local resources to build business because it's necessary. Previously, it's easy to get complacent when shit's working pretty well. You don't have to change it because it's already working. All right, inbound is inbound. Great, it makes us money. Why do anything else? You don't got that right now, right? You don't have inbound tourism, and honestly, you don't even really have inbound business at the moment, not just tourism. And so being able to get together with people in local communities with, that skill set and kind of mix and match and combine all that stuff is a really awesome chance to,
The power of networking.
Yeah. Using these local resources, like you're saying, Matt, is a great opportunity. And as you mentioned, probably for the past 20 years or so, it's been on like this steady decline of unorganization and just people not utilizing it. Another thing worth mentioning is outbound tourism is still not picking up. Japanese.
And that is for a very specific reason. It's those damn PCR tests that you have to get. Even Japanese people have to get a PCR test within 72 hours of their return flight to Japan. And without that test, they can't board their flight.
Wow. Yeah, I was watching, Japanese TV.
Only G7 country that still does that.
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah, so Japan, open up. Come on. You were supposed to open up yesterday, and it's already tomorrow.
I feel like it's just going to be a while at this point.
I think it's going to be sooner than we think, but we've been taught to be very pessimistic, and every time we thought it was going to open, it didn't open. So,
and now we got this monkey flu, right?
Yeah, monkey pox, monkey spots.
Yeah, well, that's why I have that laser, though. So.
Yeah, it can eliminate monkey pox.
Get rid of the monkey pox
with lasers
and the bad monkeys.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, thanks again for coming back on Tokyo Wave and bringing us back to the, of course, common theme on every episode that you're on is monkeys and lasers.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being on the show, Matt.
Thanks for having me, guys. Talk to you again soon.
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.